Hello everyone, welcome to day 146 of playing chess every day for you. Let's find the game. We're starting as white, so e4, and we get e5, so knight to f3. You get d6. I could play d4 right now. I could also continue with bishop to c4. I think I'll play d4 here. Just attack the center. Pawn takes, could take with the knight or with the queen. I can take with the knight. If the pawn comes, I'll just go back. If they play c5, I just go back. So now I could bring my bishop out, or I could bring my other knight out to stop any pushes. Could also go here, and if they take, I could pin. But I think the best idea here is just to bring my other knight out to control more squares. I can bring my bishop to c4 and bring my queen out to attack this, which seems very good. And that's what I'll do. If I get kicked away now, I can actually just go to d5, hit the rook. The knight comes out. My opponent's stopping me from pinning. I could just castle and bring my rook to support the center. Bringing out my bishop right now isn't that great. I think I'll just castle. And I have 3 pieces developed. The bishop comes out. Could target the bishop right now. I could also go for this pin. I think targeting this bishop is good. If the bishop trades off for my pawn, I can bring my rook. That bishop is going to be very trapped. My opponent can just take, and then I can play rook e1. I could also trade off this knight. So here I'll recapture, play rook e1. I mean, the bishop does seem very trapped after rook e1. Maybe after this knight move. I think rook e1 is just a move here. Putting pressure on this diagonal. My opponent could push, but actually I have 3 defenders there. I can develop this knight now. The idea would be to take here. I could play here. If they took, I could take, but that frees up the bishop. I do like jumping my knight and trying to pressure this. But I think right now I can just develop my other bishop. I'd really like to bring my queen in here. My rook's very good. I can develop this knight. If we trade, my bishop's quite strong, but I can get kicked away. But then I'd go back. I like jumping in. If my opponent doesn't take, I can also double up on this. Then I'm threatening to take. This is defended twice. Sacrificing bishop here isn't possible because of this knight. I think the easiest thing to do is just double up on this. This bishop's very trapped. Knight out attacks the bishop. This is a good move. I think taking the knight... Although if I take here, my opponent can't actually recapture. Or they can. If I take here, my opponent can't capture here. Because that would hang the queen. If I capture here, it's check, but the bishop just takes. If I capture the bishop, and if the queen takes, I can remove this knight to target the queen. Taking the bishop here is the right move. It's also a check. The queen has to take. Could bring the bishop out now. The bishop can't take, it's pinned to the queen. Could bring this pawn out forward. Is f4 a good move, is my question. f4 does actually allow this check. f4 check, my king must move. My king moves here. And my king is safe, although knight here. Oh wow. Knight here, I can just actually take the knight. And everything is fine. The queen still hangs. I'm going for f4. A crazy move. The knight is pinned to the queen. This check I just take. I will have tripled pawns, but I think I have enough pressure on the position to allow that. Knight check, can't take with the queen because that would hang mate. Without actually hang a rook. Not mate. The queen just slides over. Could just take the knight, and if this takes... I take the knight, recaptures. We could just trade, and I'd be up material. Or I could take this pawn. I think it's easiest just to take the pawn here. Or take the knight. If they recapture, I take the queen. So my opponent takes a pawn, but that does just hang the knight. And with 2 extra pieces, I just have so much pressure on the position that it should be an easy win. I have to keep my king safe though. My king safety is very bad. There is actually this check, but then I guess I'd just block here without hanging this bishop. This check looks very dangerous. I think this check wins this bishop. My opponent doesn't find it. I could just slide over my rook now. This rook's on an open file, so I'd like to keep it here, but I think I can go for this move. Though if I get kicked, I'd have to move. I really want to target this queen, so I'll play rook f1. Even though I'm stepping off the open file, the king doesn't have very many squares to go to. The queen step is there. I think that just lets my bishop. That puts my bishop on a better square. My bishops are very strong now. Queen over. Queen over is a move that lets my bishop in even more to the position. I could also just queen trade. I think a queen trade would help me. This queen over move lets my bishop in even more. I think it's time to activate this bishop. I could slide up here just to threaten mate, and if they push, I take here. So here, they stop mate, maybe with this move, but then I'd actually take. So here just threatens mate, and if they push, I take, so simple threat of taking this pawn. I think they have to play g6, giving up the h6 pawn. They could play no, g5 doesn't work. If they play f5, I take with the rook. The rook takes, I take, and it's just a big trade. 2 defenders on the rook. Rook takes. I'm very happy to trade down. Rook over. Could free up my own rook. So bishop back stops the rook from coming in, although there is this check, but I think I'd be safe. Rook check. I just activate my king. Rook back. And bring my bishop out again. I have a check. Now I can go here. I have a pin on my opponent's rook here. If they don't move the rook. They do, but I do have a check here. The king just moves. I'll cut the king off here. This check would now force the king this way. My opponent stops me from playing the check, but I think I can just bring my pawns now. Down a pawn, but up 2 pieces. That looks like a weak move. If I play here, they are threatening to pin my bishop. I can just play c3 to stop that. If they push, I can just step my king away. King f3 was a misclick, but now I can just step here. The rook goes there to repin. I can just step back. Though I have to step this way to defend the bishop. If they push, this is hanging. If they push this, I have takes. They push here. I can go after the rook. Rook there to defend. can attack the rook now with this move. Then the rook just pins. I think I could push. If they take. Push. I'm also threatening to take here. Push. If this, I just attack the rook. Takes. Also threatening to just win a pawn. They push, I can just hit the rook. If this comes, I can just push. They take, I take with check. If they pin, I push. They play there. That seems strange. I can just take the pawn, win the pawn with 10 pawn rook. This move, the rook moves here. I'll just take. The pawn takes, I take. The rook attacks me, I go here. If the king moves, I just have. If the king moves to the f file, I have discoveries winning the rook, so the king has to stay on that file. Can go this way, give a check. My position is very good. I also just have an outside pass pawn now. So the king does step that way. I can just step back this way. Threatens a check. I'm threatening a check now. Force the king this way and give me this check. And I'd have to block. I could play king up just to lock in my king. Could play bishop to d3 now. Just threatening mate. Rook there. Allows me a tempo. I like bishop to d3 looking for a check. Bishop d3 looking for just checkmate. And my opponent resigns. We get the win. Let's look at this game. I played with a 91.9. My opponent played an 81.4. My opponent had one blunder. I played like an 1800. My opponent like a 1700. Knight c3 is good. It's better to play bishop f4. I just developed naturally. Going after the bishop is wrong. I should just bring my queen here to keep pressure on this pawn. It's a big weakness. It's actually good to play bishop f4 in these positions. I just make weaknesses around my opponent's king. Knight e5, although it cuts off my rook, it does seem like a very bad move. That's because there's only one defend on the bishop, so after I take, I can actually play f4. And because the knight is pinned, even a knight check doesn't do anything. I just play g takes f3, and I'm up a piece. The queen's hanging. Even though I have tripled pawns, I have so much pressure on my opponent. So I win the knight. My opponent takes on f5. I can take another knight. Kick the queen around. A queen trade only helps me. f5 is the best move. I just simplify it down into this endgame. All my moves were good. King f3 actually wasn't bad. King d2 was obviously better. King f3 was a mouse slip. I get my king to d2. My position is just so much better. So it's actually rook check first. It gives mate in 12. King h7. Bishop d3 check. Then after they push, I play bishop e5, rook g7 to block. And I can slowly start bringing my pieces. And it's just checkmate for me. Very soon. So after bishop to d3, my pawn resigns in this position. And I get the win. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.